They say in the darkest corners of the city you can find the brightest lights, but no one ever expects to look for them. Most walk by, eyes averted, heart hardened. That's how it was with John, a man the world had forgotten, a soul swallowed by the cracks of concrete and the indifference of strangers. But what happened on one cold Tuesday morning would change not just his life, but hundreds of others. This is not just a story of kindness. It's about how a single decision, a quiet choice to do what's right when no one is looking, can ripple through the world and ignite something extraordinary. John had once been just like everyone else, a husband, a father, an electrician, with calloused hands and warm eyes. But after the company downsized and a medical emergency drained their savings, everything spiraled. He lost the apartment, then the car, then his family scattered under the pressure of poverty and shame. For years, he lived between shelters and street corners, drifting like a shadow no one saw. In the city of millions, he was invisible. He survived by routine, waking before dawn, lining up at the soup kitchen, scavenging bottles, nodding politely at people who wouldn't meet his eyes. But every night, before he fell asleep on a stiff bench under the overpass, he clutched a photo in his pocket, a creased image of a little girl, his daughter Mia, no more than 5, smiling with missing teeth and clutching a teddy bear. He hadn't seen her in nearly 8 years. He didn't even know where she lived now. But that photo, it kept him tethered to something real, something that mattered. It was on one of those ordinary mornings, grey and damp, when the extraordinary found him. John was sitting across from a downtown cafe, his coat soaked from the night's rain, watching the world pass him by through the haze of warm window panes. He never begged, not directly, just sat silently hoping maybe someone would spare a sandwich or a coffee. But that morning, as a crowd bustled around the corner, a wallet slipped from the coat of a man checking his phone. It landed near the curb unnoticed. John stared at it. Time seemed to slow. He looked around. No one else saw. Slowly, he crawled forward and picked it up. It was thick, real leather, clean and expensive. Inside was a driver's license, David Reynolds, and a photo of a young girl, no older than his Mia once was. Behind that, several crisp $100 bills. He counted quickly, nearly $200 in cash. Enough to change a lot for him. Enough for warm meals, a room, maybe even a phone call to find Mia. His stomach knotted. He sat with the wallet under his coat, heart racing. He could take it. No one saw. He had every reason to. Hadn't life stolen everything from him? But then he looked again at the photo in the wallet. That little girl's face, the same innocence, the same gap-toothed smile. It was as if fate had placed the moment in front of him, testing who he still was inside. With trembling hands, John got up and began to walk. The address on the license wasn't far, 6 blocks through the back alleys. Each step felt like a fight, not just against the cold or fatigue, but against the voice in his head saying, "You need this. You deserve it." But he kept going. He knocked on the door. It opened to reveal a man, surprised, cautious. John held up the wallet. "I think this is yours," he said, barely audible. David stared, confused, then opened it and froze. He looked back up, eyes softening. "You found this?" John nodded. "On the sidewalk near the cafe." David hesitated, then stepped aside. "Come in, please." John flinched. No one had said those words to him in years. Inside was warmth, not just from the heat, but from the little girl who peeked around the corner and smiled shyly. David poured coffee. John, unsure, sipped slowly. When asked if he was hungry, he couldn't lie. David served leftover pasta and garlic bread. They talked. Not much, but enough. David asked how long John had been on the streets. John gave vague answers. He didn't want pity. He only wanted rest. Before he left, David handed him a business card. If you ever need anything, I mean it." For days, John kept the card, folded in his pocket untouched, until one night the shelter was full and the cold bit harder than usual. He stood again on David's porch, unsure. The door opened. David didn't ask questions. He simply said, "You're coming inside." That night he slept in a warm guest room with fresh sheets. The next morning, David drove him to a local non-profit. He helped him get ID papers, clean clothes, and connected him with a job program that took second chances seriously. John started washing dishes, then prepping salads, then cooking full breakfasts. A month later, he signed a lease for a studio, apartment. 6 months after that, he got a small car, and 1 year after that, he stood on stage at a community event, telling his story in front of 300 people, not for applause, but to say thank you to David and to others who see people, not problems. As he spoke, tears filled his eyes. "I could have taken that wallet," he said, "but something told me to do the right thing. That one choice gave me back my life. It gave me a second chance, and it reminded me that kindness is never wasted." When the crowd stood, clapping, he saw a familiar face near the back, a young woman with the same curly hair and soft smile, Mia. She had found him again, through a video someone shared online. Their embrace off stage was silent, tearful, and whole. Today, John runs his own catering service. He hires people from shelters. He trains them, feeds them, and listens to them. His motto, painted above the kitchen, "We rise by lifting others." Every time someone asks how it all began, he points to that one rainy morning and says, "Because someone believed I was worth something when I had nothing."